Hey y'all, Donnie here. I'm going to walk you through the process of harvesting clay from East Texas Crawfish Mounds. I use this clay for making pottery that I fire in a primitive kiln. That was Pretty Boy. He lost his leg in a fight with a cheap Amazon folding chair. Crawfish thrive in clay, so when they build their mounds, there's usually a good bit of clay in them. The color of the clay can vary depending on the clay that they're harvesting. I collected all of these mounds out of my yard. They were going to get mowed down in a few days, so I thought it'd be fun to make some clay with them. We've got them all over the place, the front yard, backyard, and they love flower beds. That's a big one. I don't use a lot of supplies to harvest clay, just a shovel, bucket, water, paint strainers, and pillowcases. Bug spray sometimes. The buckets were about half full of mounds, so I'm going to add some water and stir them until they're about the consistency of a slightly melted milkshake. Then mix it up. There's some cute locust drama. Aw, he's so cute. I'm gonna leave you alone. I'm not gonna mess with you. You're good. Alright, I'm gonna get a clean bucket here and I'm gonna put a paint strainer on there to filter the clay. I use wire to secure the strainer in place. The mud's kind of heavy, so it'll cause the mesh to droop. I'm going to give it a quick stir, and then I'll scoop out the mud into the strainer. That's going to filter out most of the vegetation, the bugs, the seeds, pebbles, and rocks. The sand will sink to the bottom, so you don't have to worry about filtering it out. It settles below the clay. If the strainer clogs, and it always does, I just push the mud through with my water hose. It takes a good bit of time to filter the clay through there because it's pretty thick. And this is a very dirty job. But the good news is the clay is good for your skin. And you'll have super soft, exfoliated skin. Be sure to wash with soap afterwards to rinse off any hantavirus or bacteria in the water. That's the leftover vegetation and gunk. A lot of little pieces of dead grass and bugs. Yep. Alright, I'm using a paint stick to stir it up a bit. That's my roofie girl. She likes to hang out on the roof. She's one of the strays that I take care of. She's a sweetie. I had to take a roofie break. Alright, back to the clay. Not yet. Almost. Had to live on that roofie girl for a little bit more. Alright, now back to the clay. I'm just using the water again to push that clay through the strainer. And then I'll stir it a little bit more. I'm ready to pull the strainer out and rinse the clay out. I'm trying to get as much of that clay out as I can. I probably could have edited this down a bit, but you know, some of y'all might enjoy watching me play in the mud. If you do, then this is for you. Don't forget to subscribe. I play in the mud a lot. It's a thing. Alright. Once I'm done playing in the mud, I'll put the strainer full of vegetation and rocks to the side. and we got frog drama. He don't look right. Something just ain't right about him. We're gonna leave him alone. Looks creepy. Alright, I add about a cup of vinegar to the bucket of mud. This helps the clay settle out of the water. I cover it with a fresh strainer to keep all the bugs out. And then change pans. This is later in the day. The clay is settled out a good bit, but not quite enough. You can start to see the clear water forming on top though. This is the day after filtering, and I'm checking to see how much of it's fallen out. And we're in luck. It's clear enough on top so that I can start pouring the water off here in just a minute. And I'm going to show you that water. Let's go look at it. Check out how clear that top water is. It's still a little cloudy on the white bucket, but look at that gorgeous settling right there in that green bucket. That is top notch. And now I'm going to pour off some of that water. The trick here is to be very slow and very steady. If I go too fast, the clay will start to pour out with the water, and I don't want that. Me and a dozen crawfish worked way too hard for this clay, so I ain't letting none of it go to waste. The little bits and whatnot are just vegetation that made it through the mesh. They'll pour out of there. Ain't got to worry about them. It is hard to keep the bucket from sloshing. And if you try this, you need to know that sloshing is the absolute enemy here. The more you slosh, the more you have to wait later for the clay to settle. And I came back a few times throughout the day, maybe every couple of hours to pour more water off. I added a little bit more vinegar to them and gave them a little stir, and then let it sit for a few more hours. We got dragonfly drama. I've noticed whenever I've got my water hose out, the dragonflies start showing up. I think in nature, they lay their eggs in water, and so that's why they're rolling in every time I get the hose out. He's a pretty one. Alright, I'm pouring off the last little bit of water, so you can see the clay there. That's clay on top. That's what we're after. If you reach your hand down in the bottom of those buckets, you'll be able to feel the layers of clay and sand. The clay sits on top, and it feels soft. Some might say slimy or silky. There's my roofie girl. She's very helpful with the clay harvesting. And I think that's the last of the water. You can see how that vinegar really helps clear it up a lot. I'm getting the pillowcases ready here to pour the clay into. We're only going to be extracting that top layer of clay. Underneath the clay, it's very hard, compacted sand, and we're going to leave that alone and just scrape off that top layer of clay. And I tie it in a knot so I don't lose any of that precious clay while it's drying out. And doing the other bucket. And with that, all the hard parts are done. I celebrate with Roofie Girl and admire my bags of clay. Woohoo! Alright, this is the last step, the easiest. You just throw the pillowcases out on the ground to dry during sunny days. This will get rid of all the extra water, depending on your weather. You know, you might not want to leave it out in the rain. On sunny days, it might take a few days. The soil and sun will work together to leach that water out. We got butterfly drama. He's a pretty one. He's got really pretty markings too. Look at him showboating. And this is a couple of days later. I lifted these up so you can see the damp spots where they've saturated the ground. I'm just going to move them over a little bit and let them dry out some more. We got clay. From start to finish, the whole process took about a week for the harvesting, the processing, and the drying. But it's totally worth it. Once it's dried out enough to work with, you can throw it in a zip bag and keep it till you need it. If you'd like to see some of the pottery I made using crawfish clay, you can check out my other videos. I hope y'all enjoyed this clay adventure, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.